Once upon a time, there was a young lady who lived in a place called Maryland in the time of the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, also known as the COVID, also known as Verona. Like so many others around the globe, she was quarantined in her home to help slow the spread of the virus. Each morning she would walk to her window and reminisce about a much simpler time in her life when she could just go outside and go to work and play with her friends and go to brunch and just, live the normal American life. She had already been home a month, and even though there was much speculation as to when the world would go back to normal, she couldn't put a date on it. She also lived alone, so certain objects in her home began to take on a different meaning during the quarantine. There were some times when she just wanted to be held. The girl was very fortunate that she was able to continue working during this time as a writer, as an editor, and as a creative overall. She was also grateful for Zoom parties and FaceTimes with her friends and family. They always kept her laughing and kept her spirits high. She also spent time looking at some of her favorite profiles on the gram. Of course, she spent some time eating. She had been vegan for a few months at that point and was really enjoying all her plant-based dishes. Sometimes she would find herself sitting down to the telly with a poorly opened bag of chips. There were times when she found herself watching the news a little bit more than she should have, maybe, and going down the coronavirus rabbit hole. This was really not a good practice for her, as she did deal with anxiety from time to time and would find herself just going in circles and circles and deeper into the pit. So to counter that, she would meditate. She would also do video chats with her therapist that were very helpful. She spent time reading and trying to grow herself as a person. She spent some time writing in her journal. She also spent time walking outside, making sure to avoid the people, of course, because some people didn't understand the meaning of social distancing and they would all pile together on the trails, which made absolutely no sense. She also enjoyed dancing rather poorly to some of her favorite artists who had dropped new records during this time. But even with all the good the girl had going for her, she realized that she looked a hot mess. Her hair was always tied up, her booty stank, and her face was super pasty because yes, black people can get pasty. And unfortunately, not even Snapchat could help her with what she was going through. But at the height of her frustration, the girl had an epiphany. Maybe she could change things. Maybe she could look better, smell better, feel better. A grand plan came to mind, and she decided she would execute it. So she danced and celebrated her revelation, and decided to take the first step in changing things. And that first step was a hot shower to wash off the booty funk that had accumulated on her. And after getting herself fresh and clean, she decided to dabble in some cosmetics, because of course, everyone looks good with a little bit of properly placed makeup. And before she knew it, her face was all aglow. She figured going to get lashes was not an essential trip, so she did without. Next, she decided to take down her braids. Her locks had been in braids for over 2 weeks. They were frizzy. They needed some attention. And soon after, her locks would be free and the girl would be giddy with glee, glad and gay. And at long last, the girl felt like someone who could finally join society. She was clean, her hair was taken down, she had makeup on her face, she felt young, she felt vibrant, she felt refreshed and rejuvenated. And then she realized maybe she should upgrade her outfit. She remembered an old trick that YouTubers used to do where they would snap their fingers and automatically be transformed. She wondered if it would still work in 2020. And it did! The girl was completely over the moon to find herself in her favorite hot pink mini dress. She spun and twirled and felt like an absolute star. This little dress was hands down the girl's absolute favorite, even though you could see her black underwear in this shot. But she spun around and twirled and modeled, and she loved what the dress did for her butt. Oh, pardon, in the Queen's English, it's bum. And so she took lots of gratuitous footage of her booty. The girl felt like an absolute princess. She wondered if she could get a tiara. And, well, she did. And even though the girl would remain quarantined for who knew when, she celebrated feeling clean, refreshed, and good about herself for that moment. And she danced herself all the way to the day party at Club Quarantine.